Tonight I wanted to talk about equine nutrition. I'm going to show you the horse's digestive tract. I'm going to go over body condition scoring and why it's important. And finally, I'm just going to touch on some of the problems and diseases that we see in horses that can be associated with their nutrition and the way they're being managed. So my goals for tonight are that you have a better understanding of how the horse digests its food, why it's important to pay attention to how we feed them and what we're feeding them. And also, I hope that you are able to go home and score your own horse's body condition so that you are able to evaluate for overall health and possibly recognize any problems that may start to arise in your horse. Hopefully you are doing everything right, but sometimes problems can occur all of a sudden, and then you need to call your veterinarian out for medical management. Now this is just one picture of a horse's digestive tract. You can see from the mouth to the end how it kind of fits all into the barrel of the horse. This shows a little bit better of the size of the different parts of the digestive tract. So when the food enters through the lips, the teeth grind the food, the tongue pushes it down the esophagus into the stomach. The esophagus is about 4 to 5 feet long. The stomach holds about 8 to 9 quarts, or about 2 gallons. It's relatively small compared to the size of the rest of the digestive tract. From there it goes into the small intestine, which is about 70 feet. The cecum is about 4 feet. Then it goes into the large colon about 10 to 12 feet, the small colon about 10 to 12 feet, and the rectum is about a foot. So my point in all this is the length of the horse's digestive tract is about 100 feet long. So think of it as terms of a 100-foot long hose. Now the digestive tract is divided into 2 different parts. Basically you have the foregut, which is going to be the esophagus into the stomach, and then from there it's going to move into the cecum. The hindgut is where the digestion, most of the digestion is going to take place, as the horse is a hindgut fermenter. And with the fermentation taking place mainly in the hindgut, that's the reason why it's so important to feed so much hay or roughage to our horses. Grain is okay to be fed to horses, as we all feed some grain, but I hope everyone knows that a large amount of grain fed all at once will go into the stomach, and the faster it goes in, the faster it's going to empty out, which in turn is going to relate to less digestion and less absorption of nutrients into the system. This is just another picture of the equine digestive tract and how everything is smushed in there. Next, I want to talk about body condition scoring. And this is really important because it's going to help you evaluate the overall health of your animal. If an animal is underweight, you're going to be able to see ribs. If an animal is overweight, you will see pockets of fat distributed throughout the body. And we use the Heineke body condition scoring that was formulated from Dr. Heineke. The 5 points that you want to look at are the neck, the withers, behind the shoulders, the midsection of the ribs, the back, and at the tail head. And this was a form that I found from the University of Florida, and it gives a really good description of each of the scores. Now the scoring goes from 1 being very poor malnutrition, basically emaciated, all the way up to 9, which is an obese animal. And when you're scoring an animal, a horse, you want to view them from the side. And as you look at them, you can look and see if you see the ribs. That will be a good indication. If you see ribs, they're going to be from a 1 to 4 score. If you do not see ribs, they're generally going to be 5 to 9 ribs. So that's a good place to start. But most importantly, you want to put your hands on the horse themselves. So basically, you want to run your hands along the neck. You want to feel if there's fat pockets behind the shoulder. You want to run your hands from behind the shoulder, along the ribs, towards the hip bone. And then along the back, you should not feel, it should be relatively flat. You do not want to feel the spine. And as you go towards the tail head, if a horse is obese, you'll see big pockets of fat. Now finally, I just want to touch on a few of the problems that we can see when a horse is not receiving proper nutrition. And sometimes it's metabolic related, meaning that the animal is just not able to digest starch and sugars. And that will lead us to metabolic diseases such as Cushing's disease. Cushing's disease can also be known as pars intermedia dysfunction. And that was according to Dr. Ross Teisel. He's an equine veterinarian that I read one of his papers. And he basically described how pars intermedia dysfunction is specifically related to horses because it's different than Cushing's in dogs or in people where it affects the pituitary. In horses, it affects the pituitary intermedia. So it's actually a different location of the gland, and it needs to be regulated in a different way. So that really concludes my talk tonight. Again, I hope everybody understands the equine digestive tract. I hope everybody can go home and score their own horse's body condition. Number one, it helps evaluate for overall health. And number two, it also can help when you're doing horse judging activities because it's a good place to start to see the overall health of an animal. And thirdly, just realize that nutrition in horses is very important because conditions such as laminitis and founder can be caused from improper nutrition. So at this time, can I take any questions?
Since cows and horses both eat hay, can you please explain the difference in their digestive system, stomachs, so forth?
Yes. So cows and horses do eat hay, but a lot of times cows are fed a lower quality hay because their digestive system can handle moldy, lower nutrition values. So they are fed a different quality of hay, and that is basically because they have a more complex stomach or a 4-compartment stomach. They are a foregut fermenter, whereas I said a horse is a hindgut fermenter. And as a moldy substance such as mold in a hay would go into the horse's digestive tract, it would not be digested well enough in the stomach as it goes into the cecum. From there, more digestion would start, and that's where some toxins can be released into the bloodstream, leading to founder, laminitis, a toxemia, problem in the horse. Yes?
There are other types of things you can also, besides grain and hay, give to horses, I guess to help with digestion, such as beet pulp. So what does the beet pulp actually do?
The beet pulp is an additive, but it adds more fiber. So fiber, roughage, like the hay. It's basically has no calories. It does have some starch and sugars in it, but it's going to be mainly digested in the large colon as a roughage would be. Did I that concludes my talk at this time. Thank you, everybody.
It's focusing.
Nice
Oh.
girls for you.
We didn't care,
Oh, wait.
you just
Can
continued
you see the
doing
back?
what you're doing.
I think it just bled through.
Yeah.